Now, I made an entire video on the way home last night. An entire video. Then I started listening to the Jays game. I forgot to load it. But in all fairness, nothing in it was factual. The most important portions of the video were incorrect. And I'll tell you why. Now, I'll jump around a bit. Obviously, I want to end my video. With the high point of the day, which was spectacular performance by Jailbird Jog. We'll talk about that last. Might talk about the sale last, but we'll talk about that towards the end. So I start my afternoon. My GPS says 2 hours and 38 minutes to Dayton Raceway from Brunswick. Not a big deal. But it's not 2 hours and 38 minutes. And I'm not talking about rush hour traffic. The construction and the this and the that. And there's an accident on the way. 3 hours and 45 minutes it took me to get there. Now, luckily, I did what I sadly don't do enough of, which was leave early. So I leave early. I get there. I'm right on time. I warm up Danny. Supermind just jogs. Danny just jogs. We don't want to get them heated up. Too bad. They've had a long year. They know what they're here to do. I talked to Dexter Dunn briefly about Supermind. Just told him, bring him into the gate, get away where you get away and see how he races. Should be okay. Now, Danny's strong suit is to blast out of there, get covered up, and if you can get in the two hole. In my perfect world, Chris Lems gets mired in traffic. I get away in the 2-hole behind the rail horse who looks like a front runner. He burns himself out. Danny jumps on him late and wins the race. That's how I hoped the race would go. Instead, I go out of there with Danny. Now, remember, I told you the track was terrible the other day. Now, Jason was the one that made the point, Jason McGinnis, and he was right. He said, well, Anthony, nobody goes on the track for 8 months. You know as well as I do, the track crew probably starts on there a couple of days, 3 days before, which isn't enough. And then what you're left with is a subpar track. And that's what it was the other night when I raced there. A little girl that was paddocking for us told me that they almost canceled. I guess yesterday was Thursday. They must have almost canceled because the track was so bad. It was just deep. When we raced there the other day, when we raced to Agent Black and Chicago Hall there, it was deep. Now, I got Chicago Hall's blood back. It wasn't great. His GGT was high normal, not what you call high. And his AST was high, but not crazy high. It was 1,000, which is more than enough to have him race bad. But I think the biggest component of his poor mile the other day was flip-flops on that track. And I also told you that I didn't feel that we could take Uncle Danny's flip-flops off. We tried that in the middle of the summer, and he raced poorly 2 or 3 starts in a row. So, we rolled the dice and left the shoes as is on Danny. I got down to Dayton, warmed him up. The track was actually decent. They had firmed it up a bit. But it's one of those tracks one of those surfaces, and I mean, you may not understand this, but it doesn't knit together well. I think it's one of them ones that takes a lot of water. And I almost called it a winter surface, but that would be unfair. And it seemed like it had knitted together well. Obviously, they were pounding the water to it, but they were still also working it. And it doesn't take a lot for that to kind of loosen. I find it really hard to explain. I don't think I'm doing it justice. Anyway, I go out of there with Danny, and I look left. The 2 holes there, but King Kaufman's leaving out of there. And Danny puts a couple of steps in, 2 or 3 steps. Usually when Danny puts steps in like that, if he's not accelerating quickly, and it wasn't just that he put a little step in as he was bolting forward, but more of a mechanical issue, it's a problem. He did it again and again. We got to the first turn, he was all out of gear. That's one thing Danny generally isn't, is all out of gear. Now Sam stretches me 27 flat and removes a half in 55. As we're approaching the half, I know that the race has gone horribly wrong. Well, I knew 5 steps out of the gate it was going to go horribly wrong. As soon as I saw Kane filling up the 2 hole, I knew it was going to go horribly wrong. I may as well. There was that little voice inside me said, just go back to the paddock right now. We almost did. Danny flattened down the backstretch, but the one thing Danny doesn't do ever is get out of gear in the straightaways. And he was rough and rolly the whole way down the backstretch, and then the hobbles undid in the last turn, which they never do. But I can tell you this, if there was any one good thing that happened in the race last night, it was that those hobbles came undone. Otherwise, he would have been distance and may have had to qualify, for all I know, which would have made him ineligible for next weekend's race. So we were distance, he was no good, and I started my video talking about, and Supermind kind of flattened in the middle. Should have been third, right? Should have been third. Dexter said he kind of laid on me in the last turn, coming out of the last turn. What he means by that is he didn't accelerate. He kind of gave up a little bit. And the thing about Danny and Supermind is neither of them can trot in 53. Both of them are nice horses, but both of them are a little bit cowardly at times. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to know that going in. Like I'd said to you, if Danny snaps out of there, drops in the 2-hole, follows speed, bumps up on that helmet, he gets really aggressive and he wants to fight. But not in the same way if you come first over with him. Supermind, same thing. Nice horse in his zone. Outside his lane, he's just a nice horse. Not a killer, not a monster, just a nice horse. And that was my take on the race, and that's how I portrayed it to you in my video last night. The reason being, both trained very good, both scoped perfect after the training mile 3 days ago, so 4 days ago today, and both had blood taken the next day, and bloods were perfect. The word used to describe the bloods were perfect. So there's no way they were sick. So as I did my video last night, I just said Uncle Danny got chewed up hard to the corner, couldn't get over the track with the flip-flops, got all out of gear, and just flattened and walked. Supermind, ended up first over or second over, whatever it was, into a 53 mile, and just trotted 55, 56. That's what he can trot. That was my take on the race. I laughed. I was okay with that. It happens. The goal for next week, which will be Northfield, no shipping. Now, we're going to take blood on Uncle Danny, but no shipping for the Buckeye Final, a consolation, as it's in Northfield Park. It's his home turf. It's the Buckeye horses. He should be fine. Although last night sucked, I still believe that Uncle Danny would finish off the year well. He went on the track with his ears up. He came off the track with his ears up. It was just a bad night for him. That was my take on the races. Lauren called me an hour later. She goes, I forgot to call you right after. They scoped the horses. Uncle Danny was full of mucus. From the top of his throat to the bottom of his bifurcation where the lungs are, full of mucus. How the hell does that happen? There was no indications he was sick. He was straight 3 days ago. His blood work come back perfect. No indications of sickness. But then that little voice inside me said what I say to you guys all the time. These are living, breathing animals. You ever feel good on a Tuesday and horrible on a Thursday? Happens all the time. Little bug. Supermind, full of mucus, a little bit of blood. It was his last start of the year, and that's why he laid on Dexter, because he never bled before. Biggest problem I have now as I'm taking all this in, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture of the barn, is Judy's money trained good yesterday, but she showed a little mucus and blood. Well, that's not good. Well, clearly there's a little something there, not enough for them to be full of, and before you say, well, you brought babies in, you're right, we did bring babies into the barn. Those horses are on the other side. Now, that doesn't necessarily matter, but I would be more inclined to believe that it's the weather. A little chillier at night, some warm days, some cool days, some rain, and it's fall, and there's babies in the barn. So we'll put Danny on antibiotics and Judy on antibiotics right away, see if we can clean them up very aggressively for next week. Judy trained good, but that leg still bothers her that she's been banging on. We change her shoes and change her shoes and change her shoes, and hopefully we got it good. Guess we'll see. And with respect to Danny, just clean up the mucus. Give him a once over from the vet. He's not going to train this week, nor should he have to. And I'm not taking a shot at any of the Buckeye Constellation horses, but Danny is supposed to do very well in that class. He can't do that, though, if he's not healthy. So get him healthy. So I guess, so what I'd ask today is that we start drawing SAA tests on the horses that are in. Now, the horses that raced last night in Northfield weren't sick. Manhattan Money didn't race bad. Now, I know Tyler messaged me after, said, I'm really sorry, I had a bad drive. And I said, Tyler, I honestly, I don't think he gave the horse a bad drive at all. Man, it's freezing cold in here. I don't think you drove the horse bad at all. You had the 9 hole. I knew you weren't going to get away well from the gate. He doesn't leave that well anyway. And then you had traffic on the outside of you the whole way. Drove the horse as good as you could. I thought he raced okay. Draws on the gate in that class. He is going to beat them. And that was my take on Manhattan Money. Now, Greatest Ending. Might have been your fault a little bit. Still a free-legged pacer, right? And you have to, and as you're a kid, and as you're anybody, sometimes you panic a little bit on the track. You're a length and a quarter off the leader, starting in the backstretch, going to the quarter. There's always that voice saying he's going to park you, and he might. But you got to take care of your horse. One, you have to understand that you're 3 to 5 or 4 to 5. So he knows you may park me, but I will leave every ounce of your transmission on the track if you do. And I just don't think that Johnny would have parked him. So Tyler, coming out of the turn, was kind of rushing Greatest Ending forward. Luckily, he was running in a bit, and he made a break. Pretty sure-footed animal, but at the same time, you got to take care of them a little bit. So it's just a live and learn situation. I know he was upset about that one. He said, well, that one was my fault, and I apologize. And he said, listen, live and learn, right? He's still in the bottom class, and he will win the class next week, whether I'm there or not. You just have to understand, up until that point, he drove him good, did exactly what I asked him to do. Bring him in slow, and let him pace out of there, and he'll take care of you. Well, he will, but you kind of have to take care of him sometimes, too. There was no talk of lameness or soreness after the race with Greatest Ending, so he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Now, Rock Shining Star, I had somebody message me after the race, on my way home. They messaged me and said, Anthony, listen, you put Kane Kaufman on that horse. He filled that hole on you in the first turn of the stake race. And I said, hold on a second. First off, Kane Kaufman's driven our horses a lot, but he's not my mom, right? Kane Kaufman's out there doing the best job he can do also. And when it came to his horse in the trot race, he's supposed to fill the hole on me. I would have done the same thing to him. You imagine now if he'd have let me in the 2 hole and I walked in front of him, I would have sucked for him and for me. So King Kaufman knows Rock Shining Star. Knows him very well. And I told him, I said, I think he's actually a little better now than he was before. Not that he's faster, but you'll find him a little more manageable than you found him before. I like him the way he is. Blasts out of there, and they go vicious fractions. He wheels it around, and he comes on and gets second. I thought the horse raced well. Kane drove him well, and I was really, really happy with the way that Rock Shining Star raced in totality. How he raced in the race. More races like that will mean that he will come back to that 50, maybe 49 and a piece speed also. Because I think that the only thing holding him back now is his mental aspect of racing. A couple of starts at the Meadows, he was second where he should have won, right? I know you say, well, Aaron interfered with him that day. Even so, he should have been gone that day. There should have been no chance for him to interfere with me. And then he hung another start too. That's just mental. It's him not getting his job done, not finishing up his work. And I think he'll come back to life very soon. That was my trailer. Where the hell are they going? I just watched my truck. Well, no, that looked like Kirby's truck and my trailer driving down the road. We don't have anybody in Dayton today that I'm aware of. Well, time is on my side, but he's coming from. Somebody must have borrowed it. So Rock Shining Star raced very good to be second. So now we have the two. Well, listen, Supermine was fifth, trotted 56. After hearing how he scoped, horse raced pretty good. Uncle Danny raced terrible. Probably multiple fronts why he raced bad. Shoeing, track, scope. Probably going to find something in this new blood work. But that's why I say when I come to you and I say we drew blood, that's still blood from a living, breathing animal. That is a snapshot of time of right now. It's not to say what is going on 3 days from now. It is what is going on right now and maybe what went on more than anything else. So I can't be too upset about Uncle Danny because everybody from Dr. Latessa to both Jasons to the horse to everybody did the job that they could, the best that they could. We had all the information we could go on and it still didn't work out. So at least we know and we can treat him for next week and Danny will bounce back. He won't be 102% for next weekend, but he'll be pretty close to 100%. And I suspect Danny pretty close to 100% in that class with a decent draw will give them all they want. That's my belief anyway. So we have the two horses in Dayton. We had the two horses at Northfield Park. Well, three horses in Dayton. We had Manhattan Money and Greatest Ending. Greatest Ending will win that class next week. Manhattan Money will win that class next week. Now that's, I'll state that with a caveat. They both have to draw okay, and they will win those classes. And then of course that leads us to our sixth and final starter of the day because the Meadows canceled the sixth that we hit in. And that was of course Jailbird Jog. What a tremendous performance. You know, so I want to talk about a few things off the top. I had somebody message me and, you know, say, well, maybe Timmy wasn't the right choice for the horse. Now, when you write that in a text, we can take that a number of ways. Maybe Timmy just wasn't the right choice for the horse, or maybe Timmy wasn't the right choice for the horse. I don't know how to take that in a text. At the end of the day, Timmy's always the right choice because he's a world-class driver and he can drive any kind of horse. But, and I love to use baseball analogies and euphemisms. And when it comes to Timmy, sometimes what happens is you go out, you go to drive a horse, doesn't work out the first time, you make a few adjustments, it kind of works out the next time, and then you kind of get mired in traffic. All of a sudden, you're like Vladimir Guerrero right now. Can't hit a home run to save his life. Barely get it out of the infield. This is a franchise player. It happens. Sometimes things just don't go right. And then you're left trying to adjust and it just turns into a mess. And I think with Timmy, he was trying hard to get her a perfect trip and just didn't work out. Now, if James had declined the drive on the filly and we put Timmy back on, I'm certain in the 7-horse field, the way the race shaped up, it would have went the same way for Tim Tetrick. You know that, and I know that. I love my brother. He's a world-class driver also, but so's Timmy. It just didn't work out, and I decided, you know, we talked to our clients, and we decided, listen, maybe a fresh start with a fresh face may help. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, we got to get rid of Timmy. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. James knows how our horses race and how our horses are hung up and how our horses train. So the transition to a new driver, and that driver being James, to Jailbird Jog was not going to be difficult. Plus, she was in a 7-horse field. Outside of the gate is not the rail. And all I said to James was two very simple things. I didn't want to make it difficult. I said, James, She's a typical horse, typical tactical landing. You know we've had a lot of them. Just bring her into the gate easy, let her float out, and try not to back her into a hole, right? So when she's advancing, try not to back her into the 4-hole. If the 4-hole is there, fine, drive into it. If you've already gone by it, like when Andy Miller made a break, no, just keep sailing. And Jailbird Jog's super strong. Now, the one thing I did notice was she looked like she was going to get a little pacey and make a break halfway down the lane, and James said, yeah, she was gone. He said, Anthony, I never asked her and she was gone, but she did kind of sashay in a little bit and get out of gear down the lane. Now, if you notice in the video, Timmy had drove her first start, and he said, just left line a little more than I'd like. Can we put just a burr on the line? Now, to be fair, she trotted 26 seconds flat with that burr on 2 weeks in a row. So I'm not ragging on it. What I am saying, though, loose on the lead like that, she shouldn't be running in down the lane when she's used to kind of curling out a little bit. Honestly, I'll ask James, and if Eric already has not, I have not talked to Eric specifically other than a few text messages. But if she was running in at all down the lane, take that burr off. And here's my reason why, is that Eric and Dr. Roberts did a great job keeping her good, and I think whatever caused her to be on that left line a little bit maybe is dissipated, doesn't need that burr on the outside. Now, the other thing is, there's a few things that can get a horse pacey. Feet, which we know it's not. Her feet and knees were done last week, so we know it's likely not her feet and knees. Back and stifles, which are generally secondary to those front areas, which it appears to me Dr. Roberts did not believe are bothering her that much. And the third one, for this particular horse, would be her splints. You get 2 big splints up front. We talk about that in yearling videos. They were there when we bought her. We knew what they were. We knew why they were there, and we were okay with it. But they were crowd, and they were killing her in the wintertime. Bothering her a little bit. I shouldn't say they were killing her. But they might be biting her a little bit also right now. So I'd asked Eric to maybe have a look at those splints too. And these are all things. When she leaves Kentucky, she's going to come to Northfield Park, right? We're going to have a quick look at her. Then she's going to ship to Ontario to race in the Breeders' Crown. Now, Eric will be in Corbin with Jolene Hall and with Degas. And I'm going to send him down probably an open trotter. I'm going to try and find an open pacer for him also. If you'd asked me 2 weeks ago which trotter, I would have said Winter Soldier. But with Winter Soldier getting over Northfield Park so well, may have to pivot there also. We'll see how he races this weekend. He wins the Open, less likely to send him to Corbin. But we do need a horse for Corbin. So we'll be on the lookout for an open pacer and an open trotter for Eric also. Maybe an Elmer's a 2-3 horse that can kind of ascend the classes down there too. That'll probably be something we're looking for if we don't already have it in the barn. We may very well have it in the barn anyway. So that's what we're looking for Corbin. So the filly race good, and I'm so happy for Eric and for Kathy because, you're under the microscope. You got this super fast filly, and you have people that are going to say, Timmy doesn't fit, or maybe you should try changing the trainer, do a more current trainer, or a more trainer that has more accolades or a deeper resume. Well, I said that, somebody said that to me one time, and I said, well, good horsemanship will always shine through, right? You may not believe that, but it will. And just look at what Eric has done, Eric and Kathy. Pacer that's paced 48, 49 and did tremendous work for us in Kentucky. A couple of them, actually. And then just set a world record last year with Maury. And then now won the Grand Circuit race. This is 3 years in a row we've won the Grand Circuit race, right? Now, Maury won the end of the week, the International Stallion, I believe. But I won with Pickpocket. We won with Maury, and now we've won it again. Or the Bluegrass at least twice. I won it both of them with Pickpocket. We won one with Maury and now one with this filly. So 3 years in a row now we have won the Grand Circuit, a Grand Circuit race in Kentucky with Eric, and he has done a great job. And it's not just Eric. You look at, so 2 statements, and I make this every so often just so people remember. Remember in the wintertime, right? And a lot of people, oh my God, what's wrong with this horse? And what's wrong with that horse? And, do we need to change the shoeing, or should we go to a bigger track when we're training the babies down? Well, I just want everybody to remember one thing. There isn't a horse in our barn that made more breaks than Jailbird Jog did training down. Just so we're clear. and that is a fact. That isn't a statement as much as a fact. So there is certainly no issue. I just want everybody to remember that. Just a little bit of take a deep breath this winter, because you guys get to see everything all the time. Everything. And I need you to understand what you're looking at sometimes. Let's see the vet here phone. Hi, Dr. Katie. Did they ask for a couple of SAA tests? Oh, he's here. Okay, sorry. No problem at all. Just checking. Okay, I was just checking in. Thank you. So we have, oh, there's Dr. Latessa right there. So we have Jailbird Jog, who's done a great job. And to everybody that touched her, I know Amy hears everybody talking about Jailbird Jog. Amy loved Jailbird Jog. She helped me pick her out, and she went with her a ton of times all winter long, loved her to death, and did a great job. Jason did a great job with her also. He went with her plenty of times. Both Jasons, actually. Tim had her for a short period at the qualifiers, and then she went down where, you know, Kathy and Eric have shepherded her pretty well all winter long, or all summer long, have done a great job. So to everybody that's associated with that filly, congratulations to my partners, and also a job well done for everybody involved. So that is that. That's your video from last night and this morning in a nutshell. When it comes to when he doesn't want, he wants to get out of here before I get him. When it comes to the horses last night, Uncle Danny will be fine. Dr. Latessa is just checking in again on him. He had given him antibiotics this morning, I believe. The SAA tests on the horses were done just to make sure in preparation of the races that are coming up. We have Supermind, who's likely done now for the season. Uncle Danny, and the other thing I'd said, you know, somebody said, oh, it's such a disappointment. I said, well, yes, it was. But when it comes to Supermind, here's a horse that we paid, what, $17,000 for, and he's made $27,000. Uncle Danny's going to probably pop over 50 to some extent, and we paid, I think, 20-something for him. None of this matters, but it does for the people out there that are paying the bills and the people out there that are buying the horses. And, you know, as we head to Kentucky, these are the types of horses exactly that would fit into, now, they're Ohio breds, but these type, well, Rico Tubbs, you know, got his year cut short because of a cancellation, but again, had a very, very good year. These are the types of horses that fit into our, that value bucket, that flyer bucket that I talked to you guys about. Buckets. I talked to you guys about, somebody messaged me yesterday and said, well, why make 2 buckets then? Well, I made 2 buckets so that everybody could get involved. If I don't have any interest as I get to Kentucky in both buckets, then I'll just buy horses for 1 bucket. That's no problem. And these are going to be interest-based buckets, where I guess interest, not the good word, but your interest in the buckets. I already know that the trotting fillies are completely fully subscribed. I already know that the high-end horses, for the most part, will be completely subscribed. Now, if you do want to get involved in a high-end trotter, high-end pacer, they're standalones. I don't know what they're going to bring. It'll be somewhere between 90, 95,000 or maybe up into 6 figures. And that's why I didn't make a bucket of those horses, because I don't know what the price will be. But there's a lot of people on that list that want to be involved, and those people are going to get first opportunity to buy those shares before anybody else. If you want on that list, then let me know. And then we have the main bucket, which I knew would be slow to have people get involved, and I don't care, that's fine. But those flyer buckets, those are the ones that I really honestly, I thought they would sell out before anything, and I will be making some calls to get them filled up today. So that is my plan. Again, my apologies for not posting the video last night. I was listening to the Jays and I wasn't paying attention. Winners, by the way. I know your Yankees won. Good for you. And I think the Tigers could beat Boston, come back and beat them. Talk about Lasix programs. For the love of God. Somebody in Detroit put them on Lasix. It's all in good fun. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Go Jays. I will talk to you all very soon.